We'll get started in a second. So announcement, so I put the test marks up. And for the test, if you want to improve your mark, I recommend do the bonus assignments because that can improve your mark substantially. So I recommend do the bonus assignments of the business assignment where you create a business and send me the information about your business. So a service or product business, make a website, social media, that sort of thing. Or if you have an existing business, send that over to me, and that'll be a 10% bonus mark potential. And then the stock market project, that's another opportunity. So making a how the market works page and then trading on that. So and then sending me the screenshot of your trades. So that's an extra 10%, so 10% bonus assignment. Good. Yeah, I'll do December 7th. Yeah, the 10% bonus assignment, make a business, and then 5% bonus assignment, make a stock trading portfolio on howthemarketworks.com. And I'll put this in here and trade stocks. So if you want to improve your mark from the test or from other assessments, yeah, and then the discussion post, there is discussion post up. That's a good question. Discussion post 2 is up right now. So that as well will support you in improving your mark. So I have to get to marking the second ones. So that's still up. You can submit up until December 7th. I just want to get everything in before the final exam. But discussion post 2, I'm just gonna share my screen here. It's right here. So what companies in Canada have too much market power? How would you reduce the amount of market power that these companies have? What is happening in the economy due to the market power of these companies? So the Zara, Western, and Ellen have submitted, and feel free to submit your response. You can email it, or you could. The bonus assignment Dropbox is here. The 10% bonus assignment Dropbox is right here. So creating your own business, making a detailed blog, podcast, online store, service, website, or any other business on any website can be done. You can use an existing business for this website, do affiliate marketing, etc. Fiverr or Upwork, and this could be a career opportunity. So click on here, and then you can submit it through there. Or if you're more comfortable submitting it through email, let me know. And then the bonus assignment 5% is here. Trade virtual stocks on howthemarketworks.com. And you can read this book to learn more about stocks. It's a good book it's my favorite book on investing. And then submit a screenshot of your trading and how the market works, this Dropbox. So here, submit it here. And then discussion post 1, how can we solve the housing crisis in Canada? What types of programs can be made to solve the housing crisis? So you can, so everyone, very good participation for this. Very happy with participation. If you haven't submitted a discussion post yet, feel free. But yeah, great posts. I think we'll go through a few during class today after the game for some of the ones we haven't gone through here. And then also for discussion board 2. So I'm just gonna share we'll get started on the game. Communism. What's communism? An economic system where there's no competition and everyone has true equality. And what is proletariat? So proletariat is the have-nots. So focused on the people who are poor. And then the bourgeoisie are the rich people. So complete control of a product or business by one person or group. And then what is a partnership? Business is owned by two people, two or more people. And the ability of a company to control prices and total market output. Market power. An illegal agreement among firms to divide the market, set prices. Collusion. What do antitrust laws do? So there are laws that encourage competition. And what's Taco Bell versus McDonald's versus Burger King? White Castle versus Panera. What type of market structure is it? Great job, monopolistic competition. And market structure where prices are set. What type of market structure is that? Perfect competition. Great job, Nicole, answering first. Awesome job. Great job, everyone else. Then Karl Marx. Marxism? Like what Karl Marx do? Great job, father of communism. And what's perfect competition? Market structure in which a large number of firms all produce the same products. Great job. And what's capitalism? Great job, Christopher. The United States uses this economic system. And any factor that makes it difficult for a new firm to enter the markets. Barriers to entry. Many firms producing close substitutes. Perfect competition. It should be monopolistic competition because this one, perfect competition, would be identical. So this question had a wrong answer. I apologize. So socialism. So economic system where the government limits private businesses as it tries to redistribute the wealth. The market structure that involves the most competition is what? And then I'll notify everyone here too that before we continue, 1:30 p.m. next Wednesday. So that's so 1:30 p.m. next Wednesday, November 30th. On this same Zoom link, Chuck Howitt, who wrote Blackberry Town, is going to speak about the smartphone industry and the future of BlackBerry in their service/security business. So he's going to address the monopolistic competition in the industry. He's going to speak then, so everyone here is invited. I just want to let you know if you can make it, because yeah, he's wrote an amazing book, and it's he has a lot of knowledge about what's going to happen with like smartphones in the future. So that's, I wanted to let everyone know about that. So all farmers versus all farmers. Perfect competition. Communism. An economic system where all the property and businesses are owned and controlled by the state. Which of the following is not a characteristic of perfect competition? The strong control over prices. And then the next one, what are the disadvantages of being a sole proprietor? Limited access to capital, both human and physical. Then which is not one of the four factors of non-price competition? It'll be discounted price. And the organization of market based mainly on the degree of example, market structure consists of four main things: monopolistic competition, oligopoly, monopoly, and competition. Market structure. And a market structure with a few firms that produce either identical or different. Oligopoly. What is monopolistic competition? So a market in which there are many firms that sell similar but not identical goods is monopolistic competition. So you will be asked one more question, make your bet on whether or not you'll answer it correctly. Bet as much or as little as you want. The maximum is your current cash amount. Powers are disabled for the finale. So bet your bet, and then we'll start. Let's get started. So market structure is most likely to advertise. Monopolistic competition. Great game, everyone. Wow, amazing totals. Great job, everyone. Great effort. Excellent work. Great game. So I'll share my screen here. So for discussion board 2 here, feel free to add your post, and then yeah, feel free to add your post here. So let's go through Zara's here. Let's see what Zara wrote. So many economists accuse big five banks of holding excessive power on the market. And there's a lot of shareholder returns. And then we could bring in more international banks, which would boost competition. That's true. We could subsidize new businesses, reducing taxes, or enable them to enter existing markets more easily through regulations. Stricter regulations can be imposed. And then corporations are prohibited from doing things like fixing prices, rigging bids, and engaging in exclusive dealings that are anti-competitive. So when competition is eliminated, these businesses are able to negatively impact the economy by dominating these respective markets. So yeah, having just major corporations run the economy, it can be less dynamic and less effective. So that's a good response here. And then anyone who wants to reply, feel free. But that's a really good response on that. And then Wasit said, I think, Wasit, do you want to talk about what you just said here?
Sure. This might be a bit lengthy, so I'll try to do my best to summarize it.
No problem. Go as long as you want. That's fine.
Okay, so I'll try to keep this short. Hopefully, anyway. I believe that, like, speaking of market power, right? The ones that stand out in Canada, in my opinion, are the top three, the big three, as most news networks I like to call them: Rogers Communications, TELUS, and Bell Canada. They're all controlling the main internet providing market, especially for providing wireless connections, and in homes and offices. And Bell and Rogers even have their like internet providing services on your cell phone. Like they have mobile plans that you can have. And due to that, I personally think they have taken, well, even compared to Citizens Canada, they have taken control over of 90% of Canada's internet providing market. And of course, 90% being taken over by three companies has a huge impact on the market power that these companies have. And I believe that's not particularly healthy for an environment, as these three countries hold the majority of the market power in Canada. They can come to an agreement, manipulate prices, and as according to some research that I did as well, all the internet prices that these companies have been stating have been gradually seeing an increase over the years, and that price cap just seems to slowly go up and up and up. So the companies have no, like, how do I say this? The companies have no like limit as to how high they can go, and so they have come to a mutual understanding where the companies can put their price limit in such a way so that consumers are still forced to buy from one of them, and then they can still maximize their profit by doing so. And by doing that, I believe that slowly the prices that the companies are placing are going up and up because of the market power these companies have. No competition is able to enter the big three that these companies are in control of, which is the internet providing services that they provide. So what I think the government could intervene in subjects like these is by placing a price limit as to how high the internet prices can go. For example, depending on the internet speeds that they provide, setting a price limit that the companies can't go over. For example, $100 would ensure that the companies can't just monopolize their way to maximize profit, and that they have to follow government regulations so that the consumers are not continuously being put in the negative because of the need to use internet services. As a matter of fact, and almost 97% of the population in Canada are reliant on internet in some form or shape. And that would mean that a majority of them have some sort of connection or relation to one of these three companies, which would mean that if the consumers have taken advantage of because of this monopoly that these three companies are creating, I believe that the government regulations need to be put in place that would help lower the market power that these companies have and restrict the things that these companies can do to encourage more competition in the internet providing market. Because as far as we can see, there has not been any new large or famously known companies that have been entering the competition for the internet providing market. And that would be about it for my answer. I kind of went a bit long there. Thank you for listening.
Oh, that was great, Wasit. Yeah, excellent analysis. That was great. Thank you, Wasit. And then anyone who wants to reply and make your own points to what Wasit said, feel free. Yeah, it's a great response there, Wasit. And then I'll bring up the next response we have. So if anyone wants to make a response during class, go ahead. So it's under learning content, and then it'll be at discussion board 2. So yeah, feel free to make a response if you want during class, or if you want to do it after class. It's entirely up to you. So Ellen isn't here, but I'll go through it. The companies that hold the higher market power since the pandemic is Amazon, Apple, Google, and Meta. In my views, the higher the market value of a particular company, the higher the control of the market price, with this reduced amount of market power, these companies are the government policies because government set the price of the market and increase competition in the market. So yeah, I agree. Government policies are important to ensure that there's more competition. So antitrust policy is key for that, to increase competition. So if anyone wants to reply and add to what Ellen said, just feel free. So great responses, everyone, on that approval by changing certain things in the deal, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. So here, just gonna share my screen here, and then we'll go through chapter 15. So we're going through competition policy, so relating to what we were doing in the discussion board. So competition policy, so it's when the industrial concentration is when one firm or a small number of firms controls most of the industry. So horizontal merger is when one company in one industry, let's say a bank, buys another bank in the same industry. Vertical merger is when, let's say, a car company buys the manufacturer and then buys the distributor. So they buy everything in the supply chain. And then conglomerate merger is like if the bank bought a railroad and the bank bought a car company, the bank bought a tech company, and they all are under one umbrella. That's what a conglomerate merger is. So horizontal mergers, they can cause a lot of issues in market power because you can own an industry. Like if, let's say, Rogers and Shaw merged, they would own a lot of the telecom industry, and that would cause a lot of market power and anti-competitive issues. So that'd be horizontal merger of Shaw and Rogers. Vertical merger, they're not usually stopped because they don't hurt competition. Because if you're buying a supplier, it doesn't really hurt your competition. Like it doesn't really hurt competition in the industry because you're buying a supplier from a different industry. So vertical integration through vertical mergers is usually all right. It's usually accepted. So you could, if you want to merge companies, it's best to do it through vertical mergers. So buying a supplier, buying a distributor, etc. Because the horizontal mergers usually get blocked. So price fixing, we talked about the price fixing with like bread in Canada. So grocery companies were fixing bread prices, setting bread prices to maximize profits across the board. So each bread company was trying to do this and coordinating, and this was illegal because it's collusion. And then price discrimination we talked about, just selling a product to each person at what they value it. And this is a big issue because they pay too much for a product and they could pay less elsewhere. And then tying contracts are an issue because you have to, like, it requires you, if you want to buy something, you're forced to buy other products, and that's illegal. So like you can't be forced to buy another product. If you're gonna buy a product, you can't be forced to buy others as well. That's illegal. And then recent cases of mergers: Fording Inc., Techcominco Limited, Luscar Limited, Consol Energy Inc. They weren't challenged. And then Royal Bank of Canada and Bank of Montreal, CIBC and TD Bank, those mergers were blocked because there'd be too much market power. Those banks would have double the assets of if they merged, they would have double the assets under one umbrella. That would be a big issue from a competitive standpoint. And there's so competition laws enforcement can sometimes conflict with other goals, e.g. emerging new technologies. So I have a question for you. Should the government temporarily suspend competition rules to encourage the restructuring of industries and speed the expansion of this new technology? So I'm gonna ask Christopher, should the government temporarily suspend competition rules to encourage the restructuring of industries and speed the expansion of new technology? Oh yeah, sure. So I would say no to this one because competition encourages innovation. Because if you have competition, you need to innovate in order to compete with other companies. So that's very important. Competition is so important for innovation because you need to compete, you need to innovate to compete with other companies. So stopping competition doesn't really increase innovation because you don't have an insight, like you don't have an incentive to innovate if you are the only company in the industry. Because you're not competing on product quality. So that's my. So a competition rule would be like the antitrust competition rule would be antitrust laws, blocking horizontal mergers that create market power. So it would be antitrust laws, and they block horizontal mergers that create market power. So I'll leave this question with everyone while we're going, and if anyone wants to answer it, feel free. I'll put this in the should the government temporarily spend competition rules to encourage the restructuring of industries and speed the expansion of new technology. So natural monopoly economies of scale are extensive so that only a single firm can supply the entire market at a low enough unit cost. So you need to have the Canada Post as natural monopoly because if it was privately run, there wouldn't be enough produced. Like there wouldn't be enough mail produced if it was a private run company. And then industrial regulation is necessary to prevent monopoly prices and harming consumers and society. And yes, I agree too. Yeah, it's important to have more competition in that market. Yeah, thanks, Christopher. Then in the early 1960s, there was more social regulation on the conditions under which goods and services are produced, the impact of production on society, and the physical qualities of goods. So we always want to have, when we social regulation, we want to have it when it's marginal benefit equals marginal cost. That's our ideal outcome. The problem with social regulation is that it's the marginal cost is usually greater than the marginal benefit, and the laws and standards are hard to understand, and regulation can get too intense. However, it is successful sometimes, and it solves a lot of serious problems. It's expensive but worthwhile. And then 2 reminders: there's no free lunch. Social regulation can produce higher prices, stifle innovation, and reduce competition. So the market system is important to producing goods and services and generating income, but it has a lot of flaws. And then we talked about antitrust here. In the 80s, airlines were price fixing through setting current and future prices to improve their profits through coordination. And they posted their start and end dates for tickets as a way of colluding Microsoft, they, like we said before, their Windows operating system only would run the Internet Explorer, which was their product, and would not run Netscape Navigator. And then Google, it only allowed their Google Shopping to rank higher than the other shopping providers. And this was anti-competitive because they were giving favorability to their system, and that was that violated a lot of antitrust concerns. So those are here. That's a lot of information that about antitrust. So I'm just gonna show the next one. So factors of production we'll go through. So factor pricing, we need labor, land, capital, entrepreneurial resources to produce goods and services. And in this case, to maximize total revenue, we have to have marginal, like MRP, so marginal revenue. Marginal revenue must equal 0 to maximize revenue in this case. So this is different. This is different than maximizing profits. And then here, this would be almost where we maximize revenue. So we're at 56, and that's almost there. We want to get up to marginal revenue equals 0 to maximize revenue. So in this case, if you look here in the expanded chart, when we get here, the revenue is 47.25. It's maximized. And then it just goes down again. It goes down after that point. And then it's lower at that point. And then pure competition would be a straight diagonal line like that. And perfect competition would be a squiggly line like that. And then factor demand curves are affected by changes in product demand, changes in productivity, quantities of other factors, technological advance, quality of labor, variable factor, and then other things that influence that shift the factor demand curve or substitution effect, output effect, net effect. So changes in product demand include gambling, increases in productivity, increasing the demand for workers at casinos. Consumers decrease the demand for leather coats. This decreases the demand for tanners. Federal government reduces spending on the military, reducing the demand for military personnel. Changes in productivity and increasing the skill levels of physicians increases the demand for their services. Computer-assisted graphic design increases the productivity of and demand for graphic artists. Changes in the price of other factor. Price of electricity increase. It increases the cost of producing aluminum and reduces demand for aluminum markers. Price of security equipment used by businesses to protect against illegal entry falls, decrease in demand for night guards, and then cell phone equipment price decreases. So this reduces the cost of cell phone service, and this increases the demand for cell phone assemblers. So if demand for labor will increase, if the demand for that product produced by that labor increases, productivity of labor increases, the price of substitute input decreases. The price of substitute input increases, and the price of complementary input decreases. So this substitution effect, output effect, and combined effect, those are more, if you go deeper into economics, you'll learn more about that. Don't worry too much about that. Don't worry about that in our course. So this is where we minimize costs. If marginal product of labor divided by price of labor equals marginal product of capital divided by price of capital, we minimize costs in this case. So that's where we minimize costs. Unfortunately, here we can't minimize costs. So we would have to, in order to minimize costs, we'd have to make these equal. So this could, if the price goes down to 0.50 here, these would be equal. So then 10 would equal 10. So we could do that here. And also this combination right here, if we did this combination of 6/8 divided by like equals 9/12, this would work too. Because it would be 3/4 equals 3/4. And then also to maximize profits, there's another way to maximize profits, marginal revenue divided by price equal of one good. So marginal revenue of one good divided by price of one good equaling marginal revenue of another good divided by price of another good. This would maximize profits. So that's another way to maximize profits here, but don't worry about that here. This is above. This is like if you go farther in economics. So we would take the 8 divided by 8 equals 12 divided by 12. Now we can 1, so we maximize profits if labor, price, and marginal revenue product are $8, and if capital, price, and marginal revenue product are $12. So in an ideal world, people should be paid what their service is. Yeah, in an ideal world we should, but we're not. We are not. Unfortunately, we are paid a fixed wage usually, and the productivity and the marginal revenue product goes to owners of the company. So that's usually what happens, unfortunately. In an ideal world, we want to be paid according to the value of service we contribute to production, but unfortunately, it's not like that. So there's inequality. So productive factors are unequally distributed, and factor prices are not always based solely on contributions to output. So in this case, if you're a financial advisor, automatic banking machines don't replace you. So instead they complement your work. So that's a very important distinction. So like you work alongside automated banking machines to make your job easier. So you work hand in hand with the automated banking machine, and you complement each other instead of it substituting your work. So that's a very important aspect of that, because you think that robots are going to take over your jobs, but most of the time they're going to augment your work. So you're going to work with them to make your job easier. That's usually what happens. Sometimes you're replaced by a robot. Sometimes that happens, but it seems like more and more you're working alongside a robot. So like driving a car, you might be driving an autonomous vehicle, semi-autonomous vehicle. So you got to still drive while you're being assisted by the autonomous features. Can anyone think of, so I'll ask the question, can you think of any examples of augmented work? Yeah, accounting is a good one, Christopher. That's great. Yeah, so you're using QuickBooks to support your accounting. Accounting would be a good example. QuickBooks and accounting technology to augment your labor. Can anyone think of any other examples? So say like driving a semi-autonomous vehicle with the autonomous features supporting your driving. Yeah, there's a lot of examples. If you think of any, just so I'll put that in the chat. So can you think of any examples of augmented work? Feel free to answer that during class. Music production, that's good. It's a good one, Christopher. Yeah, using music software like Ableton or any of the other ones to support your. Yeah, farming's a great one. Let's see. Yeah, farming. There's a lot of augmentation in farming. So I think I'll show a video on that as well. So share my screen here. We'll watch a video on it. So,
I'm thinking I'm a bad person. Don't.
yeah, so all this is augmentation. All of this is augmentation. Complements. So you are a complement to the machine. So yeah, so it's all complements. It's not replacing you. You're just a complement. Like you're working with it. So you're integral to the process, and yeah, it's so that seems like where technology is going. It's augmenting our lives instead of replacing us. That's kind of a reassuring subject. Except there are some substitutes. So let's also ask what types of technology substitute our work. So I would say like cashiers would be an example, but let me know about any other examples you think of in the chat. And as we go, you can let me know. So we're going to go through the economics of the COVID-19 pandemic. So in 2020 with COVID, there was inefficiencies in the economy. Yeah, packaging machines are a good one. Yeah, they can do packaging without the human component. They can completely replace humans. Yeah, telemarketing, that's great, Nicole. Yeah, robots can completely replace humans with telemarketing in a lot of cases. That's a good example, Wasi, Nicole, and great examples. Yeah, so any other examples anyone thinks of, feel free. So what happened here is with COVID, lockdowns, inefficiency in the economy shrank, and then the point moved here. If there wasn't COVID, our economy would have been here. And if in 2020, and then if there wasn't COVID, the economy would be here in 2021 because of increase in technology and resources. But I'll ask the class, do you think the government restrictions were worth the economic cost? My opinion, like I would say yes, because it kept ICU emissions down and hospital emissions down, and prevented a lot of death and sickness. But yeah, there's many different arguments. Like each side, if you're for lockdowns, against lockdowns, like it'd be interesting to hear your opinions. And there's good arguments on all sides for that. But yeah, I think that the benefits of shutting down the economy were higher than the benefits of shutting down the economy on keeping hospitals open and within capacity were more than the economic cost. But let me know what your rationale is on that. So here, due to the lockdowns, reduction in revenue, goods and services, consumption, income, interest, profits. Yeah, so that's what happened here with the circular flow diagram. And then because of the shift from people were staying at home, so the demand for toilet paper in the office went down massively, and the demand completely shifted to home toilet paper. So the toilet paper homes was going up way high because people weren't going to the office. And then this is the benefits of social distancing. There was massive amounts of marginal benefits due to social distancing based on this chart. So there was a lot of benefit to that. And we were able to gain, based on that, we were able to gain this amount of surplus. So we gained this amount of surplus due to the social distancing. And then the government had a lot of issues in terms of preparing nursing homes, where 70 to 80% of deaths occurred, and the federal government had to send in the Canadian Armed Forces to help care for the elderly. And then testing capabilities were not adequate in all provinces across the country. There wasn't enough personal protective equipment for frontline healthcare workers, and there wasn't enough coordination. But here, the demand for products increase, like emergency products increased during COVID. So demand for emergency products, demand for needs increased in COVID-19, and the slope of the demand curve became more steep because the demand became more inelastic because people valued these products more now. So like people were getting more, people were getting more net benefit from products like hand sanitizer and toilet paper during COVID-19 because they needed it more due to the shortages. Oh, sorry to hear, Nicole. What was the pandemic policy response in Brazil?
I'm gonna turn it on here. I think it's better to explain.
Sure.
I don't know if everybody's aware of, but by the time that we were dealing with the whole pandemic stuff, our president Bolsonaro, he created a calamity per se, and until this day, as Brazil, of course, is a developing country, and it's one of the most unequal countries on earth. So we had major problems with, not declining social support. I remember once I read an article, and they were describing the whole situation that Brazil had to live with Bolsonaro during pandemic as necropolitics, because basically the political power was dictating whether people live or die. So yeah, so I totally agree with the restrictions we had. Unfortunately, I was there in Brazil when everything was going on, and I totally agree with the restrictions, and they were absolutely worth the economic cost. We've lost so many people, and we didn't have to if we had another politician and like taking care of everything. So yeah, I just wanted to share this because I think it's really, I totally agree with you, Professor, on your position about that and about the restrictions. And I just wanted to share something that it's quite personal for me too.
Yeah, sorry to hear that, Nicole.
Thank you.
And then Christopher, the problem is that one person contracts COVID, then everybody in the same household will almost surely be infected. I was a victim of this, so I fully support the vaccination policy and lockdowns during the pandemic. Yeah, so exactly. So yeah, it was a hard cost because there was a lot of economic cost to it, but in terms of hospitals and the capacity issues, we needed to shut things down and allow for the hospitals to be able to do surgeries for people like that have cancer. Let's say like they weren't able to get their treatment because the resources were devoted to COVID-19, and shutting down a lot of the economy was important to allowing non-COVID procedures to still happen. So that was, yeah. So yeah, it's important that we were able to keep the healthcare system going. So thanks Nicole and Christopher for that. And here, like I talked about before, products like hand sanitizer, the value people got out of these products went up massively during the pandemic because there wasn't enough, there was a shortage of these products, and people were getting more utility from using these products during the pandemic. So that's why there was a lot of price gouging, because our willingness to pay was, so our willingness to pay for products like hand sanitizer went up a lot during the pandemic because we required it and there was a shortage of these products. And then companies were starting to raise the prices to ridiculous levels in order to price discriminate / price gouge. Thankfully, the government intervenes and stops this illegal price gouging. So that's very important that the government comes in to stop this, because it's a big issue. And then here also, because China had some strict lockdowns during the pandemic, so China had some strict lockdowns during the pandemic. So what happened was we weren't getting as much manufacturing as we usually do from China. So we had to look to other countries to get our manufacturing. And that was important. So we diversified where we got our manufacturing because of the pandemic. And then here, the price charged from restaurants and airlines was below average variable costs during the pandemic. So because of the lack of demand, therefore they shut down. Therefore, the airlines and restaurants shut down in the short run. If this happened in the long run, they would shut down permanently. So like, yeah, if they were in this situation here in the long run, where their price was here below average variable costs, they would shut down permanently because they would not be making any profits at all, and they'd be making massive losses. So thankfully the price went up above average total cost. So thankfully the price rose over time and they could reopen. So that was very important to happen here. And then certain monopolies like Via Rail, Via Rail is owned by Canada, the Canadian government, and Via Rail's ridership dropped dramatically during the pandemic. So they needed assistance from the government because they were making a loss. So I'll ask the class, should every monopoly plunged into negative profits by COVID-19 get bailout money? If not, which ones, if any? So I would say public monopolies. So like I would say energy, like electricity company, like Hydro One, Go Transit, Canada Post should get bailouts because we need them. So like companies like that, so electricity, water, public transit should get bailouts because we need them for society. So like anything that's like a public utility, natural monopoly should get bailed out because we need them. And then monopolistic and competitive industries here. So mom and pop shops, so those are the local restaurants that aren't part of a chain. These ones suffered massively during the pandemic, while these chains here, they were able to survive at a greater rate because they have billions and billions of dollars. So the billions and billions of dollars, they can absorb losses from the pandemic, while mom and pop shops have very little money. So they cannot absorb as much, they can't absorb a crisis like COVID-19. So a lot of these shops here, they went bust, and then these shops, they kind of succeeded. Like they were able to weather the storm. So this was a big issue, and a lot of mom and pop shops closed while these chains were able to weather the storm. So that's what happened during COVID with these companies. And then Canadian oil here, what happened was no one was driving at the beginning of COVID. So no one was driving at the beginning of COVID-19. Therefore, the demand for oil went down in Canada. So this hurt the oil industry, and Saudi Arabia was able to benefit because they could produce at $9 a barrel, and then Canadian producers produced it at about like $55 a barrel. So Saudi Arabia was able to compete with Canada, was able to charge much lower prices for oil, and could drive Canadian oil producers out of business. So I'll ask a question. If Saudi Arabia can produce oil at $9 a barrel, and Canada can produce it at $55 a barrel, why doesn't Saudi Arabia have the whole Canadian oil market? Why doesn't Saudi Arabia supply the whole Canadian oil market? So because of OPEC. The reason why is because of OPEC. So with OPEC, these nations all coordinate and set the price to maximize profits. Therefore, they all stay in business and set and charge the most profitable price. So that's why. And then here, so likely because of COVID-19, when industries go bankrupt, like when companies go bankrupt in industries, then there's more research and development. And then here across the board from April to May 2020, there was employment reductions across the board in all the major cities in Canada. And then during the COVID-19 pandemic, if the government didn't intervene, the interest rate by the Bank of Canada would have gone to 12%. That would have been very bad for our economy because no one would have been able to get loans to grow their economies. So then the Bank of Canada intervened and lowered the interest rate to 2%. So that was important to keeping the economy going and allowing people to be able to borrow at low rates. And then, like I said before, what happened was the COVID-19 pandemic caused strict lockdowns in China. So Canada had to look to other countries to manufacture instead of China. So they diversified their countries for manufacturing. So that was the economic analysis of COVID-19. So we'll try something here. We'll try this. So I'll share my screen. So fill in the blank is the act of creating goods and services to be consumed. What would that be? Great job, Christopher. Then which of the following is not a factor of production? Great job. Then which of the following is not an example of land as a factor of production? So paper. A good try, we'll see it. Then which of the following is not an example of labor as a factor of production? Yeah, agreed. Great job. And then which of the following is not an example of capital as a factor of production? Great job. Then which of the following leads to economic growth? Investment, capital consumption, consumption goods, or increasing human resources? So be A, so investment and increase in human resources. Good try. And then which of the following is not a characteristic of labor as a factor of production? So good try, Nicole, it'll be E. Good try. And then which of the following is not necessarily a characteristic of capital as a factor of production? So permanent, good try, good try. And then true or false, all natural resources are considered free resources and exist in excess of what they're needed for. True or false? Good job, great work. And then true or false, capital goods can serve as both inputs or outputs of production. Okay. So great class, everyone. Excellent work, everyone, today. Yeah, amazing participation. And yeah, everyone did a great job. Thank you for all your great participation. And like I said, December 31st. Oh, sorry, November 31st, sorry. November 31st, Wednesday, 1:30 p.m. A Blackberry Town author, Chuck Howitt, will be speaking about the smartphone industry. And everyone's invited. And feel free to, if you can come for, like, it's on this Zoom link. If you want to listen in for a bit, yeah, you're totally free to come in. A great class today, everyone. Does anyone have any other questions for today? Thanks, Nicole. You too. Anyone have any other questions? Okay, great work, everyone. Kaja, Nicole, Wasit, Justin, and everyone else who joined in today. Great work. And yeah, email me if you have any questions. And great work today. And yeah, thank you for all your great work, and see you next week. Bye, everybody. Awesome work today, everyone.